Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday, July 22nd edition of Speaker Co-working. I am Angela Lewis, Head of Customer Support here at Speaker Hub. And on this call every day, we talk about the speaking industry and how to help y'all make more money with your intellectual property. Lots of exciting things happening in the world of Speaker Hub, which we'll get into today. But as always, we talk about wins first. So does anyone have any wins? Lawrence, all right, let's hop into it. Oh, you're on mute.
Okay, you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Great. So I have two fantastic wins. The first one was that I went on a podcast earlier, and it was a guy who found me through my LinkedIn profile, and that'll be coming out in 2 weeks from now. It was fantastic. Mainly talked about ways that teenagers and young adults can build mental resilience, imposter syndrome, a lot of great things we talked about in that interview. And the second one is that I had a speaking engagement I did a month ago, and they asked me, did I want them to send the money just directly to my bank account, or did I want them to mail me a check? And they let me know ahead of time, like, if you pick the check, it's going to take longer, but I picked that. That way I can get the thing framed on my wall. So now, I've got my first physical check for speaking, and I'm going to remember this day. It's going to be fantastic.
Congratulations. That's a really big deal.
Thank you.
That's a very, very big deal.
I've got other podcasts lined up for the entire end of this month. So the 28th until the 31st are either podcast interviews or meetings with event planners. So it's so great.
Wonderful.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
We're so proud of you, Lawrence. Anybody else wins? AJ, hello, welcome, welcome. Anybody else have wins that they would like to share? Valencia?
Hey, so my win is, I've been going live every single day, and Iris got did an onboarding for a new client today that is in my group. So that is good. And the other thing is I have a podcast tomorrow, and I have 2 podcast interviews tomorrow. So that's
Okay.
big. That's big for me. So thank you.
You're welcome. Congrats. Anybody else? Any other wins? Nope. Linda, you look like you're about to say something, but I can't quite tell. It's like I see your hand moving toward the computer or something.
No, I'm just happy to be on this side of the dirt. I'm just
Yeah.
happy.
Look, that is a win. Amen to that. Thank you for pre-ordering as well, publicly. Thank you for pre-ordering A Ball and a Chance. I appreciate that. Very excited about it. Hey, Brian, welcome back.
Good to see everybody. Yeah, let's get into it. Congrats, Lawrence, on getting the check, the first of many. Yeah, I think you got a great future ahead of you. And I've never heard you speak, right? And that's the great thing about it, is that it's the habits. If you can show up every day and pitch yourself in front of people, you could be the worst speaker ever today. You won't be the worst speaker ever down the road if you just keep getting on stages and telling more people and helping more people. So if you keep up the habits of reaching out and getting on more podcasts, you can. We're gonna check back with you in 5 years. we gonna check back with you in 5 years, and we're gonna see what you're up to. And I guarantee you, it's gonna be nobody will be surprised. Everybody will be excited, but nobody will be like, I can't believe he made it that far. Nobody will be surprised. So because we know the value of doing the work. So and yeah, I mean, we've all been there. We look at age and playing professional sports. We look at what Jasmine has done, and Jadika and Linda, AJ. It's just time. And you got something that a lot of us ain't got. You got more of one thing than what all of us on this call. You got more time than all of us. So invest that time wisely, and I guarantee you it will pay off more than what you imagine. Um, any other wins before we get into it? No? Okay. So thoughts on the call yesterday. It's one of the probably most uncomfortable calls I've ever had because I usually don't like talking about um, finances and things like that. But you all have been here over the last 12 months watching us do these things. And so yesterday I wanted to kind of just bear it all, just show you all the things we've been doing in the background that Ann just coordinated, or someone else, Maria or Ezekiel on the development team has coordinated in order to build this thing that you all see on a daily basis. Um, just to kind of let you all know how it's going. So any thoughts based on the call yesterday or anything like that? Any questions about what was discussed?
Yeah, where can we get the do you have the 7 things printed out?
No,
Or
but I could just run you back through them really quickly if you want.
yeah, go ahead.
Because I mean, they just is what we live. So, uh, the first thing, build your own stage. Got it? Build your own stage. Second thing, in your offer, make sure that they're ascending offers, meaning that people can come in at different levels. And once you help them at one level, you can help them go to the next level. So once you get out of elementary school, you go to middle school. You get out of middle school, you go to high school. You get out of high school, you go to college. You get a bachelor's. No, you get an associate's, you get a bachelor's. You get a bachelor's, you get a master's. You get a master's, you get a PhD. And you just keep ascending in life, right? So be sure that your products help people to ascend to the next level of help. No matter what you're doing, there's somebody that's willing to pay you more for more help. So if you have a problem with understanding the ascending thing, do the 10-star thing that I explained to you. 1-star service would be this. 2-star service is this. 3-star service is this. 4-star service would look like this. Does that make sense? So that's the second thing. Make sure you have an ascending offer, right? The third thing, which is really, really, really important, solve one problem. Don't try to solve 10 problems. You ever forget it? Just remember, what's my favorite word? Pitch. You got to be pitching. So solve one problem for a group of people, right? Find a group of people that have a pain. You don't want to solve a nice to have. You want to solve a must have. You want painkillers, not multivitamins. Does that make sense? You want painkillers, not multivitamins, right? People are more likely to take a Tylenol than what they are to take a Centrum, right? So you want to have solve one problem. Number 4, AJ, you taking them down? Number 4, treat that client as if it's your last one. If you had to build the entire company around one how you treated one person and had to rely on them to tell other people to come work with you, treat that one client like they're the last one. Got it? Makes sense? Let me think of the other ones. I can't remember what else we talked about. Anybody remember what I left off?
Yeah, once you get to a certain level, increase your price.
Oh yeah, raise your prices. Yeah. As you improve the product, increase your price. Everything goes up. Netflix used to be $6.99. Now I think it's $19. Right? YouTube used to be free. Then it went to $9 a month. Then it went to $14 a month. Then it went to $18 a month, and AJ canceled it. Right? YouTube TV started off. I remember I had the initial plan, $29 a month. Now it's $90. It's like paying for cable. Cable was high. Now YouTube TV just the same price as cable. But as you improve the product, raise your price. Right? Thanks for that, Jasmine. What else did I leave off? I can't remember all of them.
Megaphone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we talked about. Treat that one customer as if it's your as if it's your last customer. How well would you treat them? Right?
You discuss the payment plan. Is it better to pay in full or is it better
Yep.
to do monthly?
Yep. Be sure to have a way where you can capture the value up front. Right? It's a great way to weed out your customers. One of the reasons why that's important is that if you get people change their mind, right? I'll come to you in a second, Janika. I think you were going to say something, but people are excited about something today, and then they lose the motivation because they find out that they were an uninformed optimist. What do you think an uninformed optimist is? Anybody want to guess?
Somebody who didn't know it was going to be as hard as it is.
Yeah, that's every speaker on earth. They buy the course, they get sold this optimism. The world gonna pay you for your message. When you wanna speak as well as you wanna breathe, you're gonna be a speaker. They got all the sayings, right? Nothing against that, but now that person has that battery in their back and they got to go out into the world and they say, wait a minute, you didn't tell me there were wolves on the side of the mountain and there were lions and tigers and bears, waiting to get me as I go. And there was a bunch of other people on the same street. Ain't enough food out here for all of us. Right. So people change their mind. Once they become aware of what's out there, they quit on themselves, not on you. They quit on themselves. And then they come back to you 8 months later wanting a refund on something that they've already paid for. So, be sure that you capture the value up front before they change their mind. It's not your responsibility if they change their mind. The best analogy I can give you is buying a car. If you buy a car, you drive it for 9 months, and you didn't drive as much as you thought you was going to drive it. It sat in your driveway for 9 months. The car dealership ain't giving you a refund. They not. But people expect software companies and course companies to give them a refund on something that they didn't use. We're very generous. Most companies tell you to kick rocks. We're very generous. We say, hey, if you've used our system and you've used everything and you didn't get a result, we'll give you a refund. In 13 months, I haven't had anybody who asked for a refund use more than 10% of the product, meaning that if they had 500 pitches, they hadn't sent 50. I mean, they had used it. And it's like, no, what can we do about that? That has nothing to do with us, right? So be prepared for that type of thing. That's just life. But yeah, it's part of it. Imagine if Harvard only got paid if people passed the class. Imagine if gyms only got paid if people lost the weight. Well, they can't drag your ass out to bed to the gym. You still got to go in there and do the work, right? Any other tips I left off? I can't remember. I've had a lot of stuff going in the last 24 hours. So,
Hey, Ron, go back over, talked about own your own platform. Can
yep.
you go back through that piece?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Probably the most important thing we did was create our own platform, right? And creating your own platform could be going live on YouTube like we're doing now, where we come here and we talk. It also could be creating your own event. Greg, I think you can do an amazing event with former NFL players. I know 5 NFL players that would hop on your stage at any given time and talk about leadership or whatever they're working on. Jordan Babineau, John Diggs. I mean, who's another guy I know? Ogden, Jonathan Ogden, and his brother Marcus Ogden. They would all hop on your platform tomorrow, just out of respect to you, right? And then they would bring their audiences from there, right? AJ has a huge relationships in USA track and field. If he got some of his track and field buddies all together and did something about sports and, the championship mentality, that would go through the roof.
Okay. At some point, designing a program, designing a workshop, designing that kind of platform is something that I'd be very interested in.
Oh yeah, Ange can help you with that for sure.
Okay.
Ange is the person that designed ours, her and
Okay.
Juliana. It's a lot easier than you think, right? If you have a thesis, the great thing about professional speakers is that if you give them the thesis, they will write the speech around it, or they will put together the presentation. What you're just doing is coordinating how it's going to be organized and things of that sort.
Mm-hmm.
Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. But huge opportunities going down that space. Now, Greg, let me give you something that I think that is underused and undervalued. You can put together, say, 4 or 5 athletes, and those 4 or 5 athletes can go on a tour talking at different companies. Now, you may not all be able to do an hour presentation, but putting you all on a panel, doing 15 to 20 minutes, telling your stories, just for the photos. Like, you could do an HBCU tour being the first Black place kicker and punter.
All right. I think
in the
we're on
NFL.
froze.
You could just
Okay,
bring
you
me all
froze.
in.
You got to go
Deion
back
Sanders
over
has
that
made it
again.
famous now.
I think you froze. So say
Okay.
that one more time. You started with HBCU.
You can go to HBCUs.
Mm-hmm.
Deion Sanders has made it popular for HBCUs to have, or for colleges to have pro players come back. Right? You can reach out to any AD at any other HBCUs. You can go anywhere, but I'm just using that as an example,
Yep.
as an easy door. And it's probably an easy $15,000 to $20,000 on the table every time for that. Right? Now, what you do is you a lot of them are all in the same area. They all in the South. It's not like you got to go from California to Atlanta, right? But there's just, you show up, you talk, they want to take photos with you, all of those things, and it just becomes incredible. I would talk to the person in student life or student affairs, so that they can get involved and invite the regular student population. Like, imagine if it was, NFL Black Legends Tour, right? You're a freaking legend. I don't care what you think. I think it. I mean, you know, um, from that perspective, that's what's out there. It's just the marketing angle, right? And I got all the ADs. I mean, I've talked to a lot of athletic directors just via email, just emailing the AD or the assistant AD, because the assistant is usually the one making the decision, we found out.
Sure.
The AD got too many other issues. The assistant AD is coordinating all the other stuff underneath. So you just reach out to all the assistant ADs saying, hey, I got this roster. It's me, Michael Vick, blah, blah, blah. I'm just naming some football players, right?
Sure.
And it's the 4 of us. Who would you like to come talk? Oh, we want 3 of y'all. Cool. Boom. The 3 of y'all go, y'all divide it, right? Get a roster of football players and then let them pick the 3 they want to come talk.
Oh, you hitting a nerve right now, because I'll be in
That's my
Canton
job.
with the rest of those guys. It's called Black College Football Hall of Fame. That organization with Doug Williams and James Shack Harris, Mel Blunts, and the list goes on and on and on. So no, that's a good thought.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a great example. You know how many, I was watching a YouTube video. You know how many legendary stories there are out there that just are never told? I'm gonna give you 2 examples. There was a guy who told a story about Michael Irvin stabbing a guy with scissors. We would have never heard that story because there was no social media at the time that talking about him stabbing McIver with the scissors over a haircut. Dude, I forwarded that to at least 15 people. One of the most entertaining people on the internet today is a guy by the name of Vernon Maxwell, who was a retired basketball player for the Houston Rockets. We would have never known he was this funny until somebody put him in front of a mic at a podcast.
Yeah.
There are so many ideas around that, right? Ange and I had an idea with a guy named John. This was maybe 2016. I still own the domain. So if you want the domain, let's talk about it. But we were going to do something called Athletes Uncut. And this was before like all the podcasts with athletes became popular. Because we're like, dude, there's all these great stories that nobody talks about, that never get out there, that we're all curious about. We want to live vicariously through them. But nobody's telling these uncut stories. All we get is a 3-minute segment on ESPN. This was before, like, you remember that was Uninterrupted. That kind of fell off. That ain't as big as it used to be because everybody got their own thing. But when you listen to Vernon Maxwell or, man, this guy right here is just killing it. And watch him over the next 3 years. This dude's going to do something incredible. Jason Williams, the former point guard for Duke, he switched his entire Instagram to just talk about the business of sports. The most incredible 5 to 10 minute talks about the business of sports. He ain't talking about dunking. He like, nah, let me show you the impact of Kevin Durant switching teams. This how many jerseys going to be sold. This how much the team's going to go up in value. And you're trying to tell me that this guy's only worth $40 million. He should be getting a part of the team because nobody was thinking about Phoenix before he went there. Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
People were talking about how he made $12 million off of his jersey sales recently, right? But that had nothing to do with his NFL contract. That's just from jersey sales. But he sold $80 million worth of jerseys. But moral of the story is there's something that Linda sees that nobody else on this call sees. That's called a perspective. The problem is that we usually keep it inside because we're afraid of what people are going to say when we share our perspective if it doesn't line up with theirs. But why do we talk at all? Go ahead.
Or we don't recognize how unique it is, how we don't own the fact that people would love to hear it. And I think, Greg, you might have a little dose of that because you are a legend, but it's just you to you. You don't think, oh, I'm anything special. I mean, in the back of your mind you do, but you don't realize how people would bow down to hear you.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I couldn't have said it better. I mean, but that's it. But we all deal with it. So have you ever heard of it's called the buyer's something complex. Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me look it up.
Buyer's remorse?
No. It's named after two guys. Basically, I'm gonna tell you the name of it. Basically, it's where imposter syndrome comes from. Right? You know how we all have imposter syndrome sometimes. And these two scientists, they were talking about how when you're incompetent, you overestimate how easy something's going to be. But when you're competent, you know how hard it is, so you discount how much you know. Does that make sense? Let me see if I can share this with you. 1 second. Go ahead.
You've forgotten maybe about the thousands of dark hours you spent developing that competence. It's not, so it becomes such a natural part of you, you don't recognize how cool it is. I mean, I don't know the syndrome you're talking about, but I think
Dunning-Kruger effect.
Dunning-Kruger
effect. Here it is. The Dunning is the bias where people overestimate how easy something is, right? And it's the tendency for individuals with low ability in a specific area to overestimate their competence, right? While those who have high ability may underestimate theirs. That's called imposter syndrome, right? The imposter syndrome, we always say imposter syndrome is a symptom of the competent. Right? Because when you know how hard it is, you like, I don't know if I can do this. But you discount how much you've learned to even be able to make that decision. where the inexperienced person always say, fools never have imposter syndrome. Right? They believe they can do anything. It's like, dude, you're an idiot. Like, you're going to die. Right? So when I talk to a person, they say, I want to do 63 speaking gigs. And if you can't get me booked next month for 5, you really ain't as good as you say you are. Cool. I'm smart enough to know that I should let them be. I ain't got to argue with them. What I'm arguing with them for? Yeah, man, you're right. I'm not that good. Right? But because of what I know, I may be like, dude, I don't know if you could do that at some point, right? But it's because of my experience that may underestimate the capability at the same time. But so the bias that I thought of when you mentioned that, Linda, was the Dunning-Kruger effect of how when we're special, we kind of underestimate it because we think everybody's just that special. And I ran into that myself. You know, I would talk about different business concepts like it was nothing. People like, man, you should write a book. I'm like, for what? Everybody knows this. No, they don't. You know, but it's just the assumption that because if I know it, everybody else knows it. Does that make sense? But the only way you can help the world is by teaching. So let me give you a great example of a young lady who did this. And the young lady's name is Tiffany Aliche, right? And Tiffany was a preschool teacher, right? And she don't have any licenses in financial advisory, any of that stuff. She was a preschool teacher. But while she was a preschool teacher, she paid off her debt using what we call the snowball payments, meaning you pay the minimum on all the payments, and then on one you put everything in the one with the highest interest. And you try to pay that one off, and then you pay the next highest interest, and you just keep snowballing the payments, and then eventually you pay off your stuff faster, right? So people found out about that and they wanted to learn. So she started teaching her friends. And then she did something called the Live Richer Challenge. I mean, she's probably doing $15, $20 million a year. I mean, they emailed out their Stripe account. So I'm not saying anything personal. I don't know them. They sent me the email with the screenshot of their Stripe account. She has a group with 600,000 women in it. She ain't licensed. She ain't licensed to sell investments. She ain't a certified financial advisor. She just helping people. Do you see what I mean? Like she just helping. Like all that those licenses do is put you in handcuffs. You can't talk about certain things unless you're selling. There's no such thing as a financial advisor. Let's get that out there. There's a commission-based salesperson that sells financial products disguised as a financial advisor. And they use a name called financial rep because if they're not a CFP, they're not a certified financial planner. So they can't use that CFP title legally without it being designated because it's trademarked. But they call themselves financial representative, investment representative. Yeah, they represent the company. Right? But moral of the story is when you see this, what if she decided to say, well, I'm not licensed yet, so I can't talk about this, right? What if she decided to say, I can't do this because of this thing? Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that's the power of your perspective. Ramit Sethi, he ain't licensed to sell nothing. He just writing books. Now, does that mean that his stuff doesn't work because he's not licensed? The license just teaches you the law. It teaches you nothing about being a financial advisor. It teaches you what rules you have to follow by the state. So share your perspective, guys. If you have a perspective that has worked, you have a process that's worked, share it. But build your own platform to share that. A lot of creative ways to build platforms, right? Does that make sense? Give me 2 seconds. Ange, can you?
Yep, sure, I got it. So what are your thoughts about platforms? Who on here has a platform of their own? I know Jadika has one, AJ, Valencia.
So I'll say something that I've experienced the last couple of days that I thought was interesting. I have had like I'm not a fitness dude at all. Like my biggest goal in life is to get a six pack. I've never seen my abs a day in my life. So that's like been my goal since I was 6 years old. But over the last probably 3 days, I've had like three different people hit me up about fitness. So today it was like, hey, you finished 75 hard. Can you help me with it? Another person was like, yo, I've seen things that you've been doing. You're consistent. Like, how do you do that? They start talking about the mindset. And what I realize is that although I'm nowhere close to where I want to be, I'm 3 or 4 steps ahead of the people that ask me. So I can't help a lot of people, but there are a lot of people that look at me as inspiring because I've I've done 75 hard. I'm training training. I'm training right now to do 31 miles in the next 10 days, which is gonna be crazy. I do it every year. So people see that, and it's not the people in front of me have never asked for advice, but I didn't realize there were so many people behind me that I don't think I'm doing anything special, but to them, they're like, yo, like, can you help me? Can you give me advice? It was strange because fitness is not my thing at all. But I guess the fact that they see it, they ask for advice, just to the point Ron was making about, yo, and it's just a platform, like stuff that I say I've accomplished that they haven't done yet. So yeah, just help those behind you.
We used to have this as the when you log in, when you go to speakerhub.com, we used to say, be the leader you needed, right? And that's really the key, is be who you needed, because somebody needs you, and then you're going to find somebody ahead of you. I heard Tony Robbins say something that I thought was pretty cool. And he said, and if you're a knucklehead, you can take it the wrong way because you just want to be offended. But I thought it was the dopest answer ever. And what he said a guy came up to him and he says, man, one day in the future, I want to be just like you. Right. And Tony said, that's great. But when you get there, I won't be there. Right. And that's amazing. And what I took from that is, cool, you want to be where I'm at today, but I want to be higher. So I'm going to keep going. Right. So we're all going to keep growing. So when you get to where you want to be where I'm at, yes, cool. I'm not going to be here though. I'm going to be on the next thing. I'm going to be higher. I'm going to be improving more and keep growing my skills. So I think that it's that mentality that, and I love to see when there's a great interview series done by Tony about his new book called The Holy Grail of Investing. It's about a year old now, a year and a half old. But what he does is that he interviews all of these famous investment advisors that he admires. So even being, I don't know if y'all know, Tony Robbins was publicly traded. His name and products were publicly traded on the stock exchange in the 90s, 80s and 90s. That's how big of a business it was. But for him to interview other investment guys that are not in his domain, but he respects what they're doing, that's really the platform opportunity, right? To interview your heroes, right? In Greg's situation, he can interview his peers, right? Or his mentees. But for a lot of us, we're interviewing our heroes, right? Interview your heroes and you can build a huge platform. That's all Oprah did. Oprah became more famous than everybody, but she interviewed everybody. Everybody wanted to be on her show. She got way more money than Denzel, but at the time, Denzel was more popular. She got way more money than Tom Cruise, but at the time, Tom Cruise was more popular. So she just interviewed the more popular people while she kept the bread. I'm serious. I mean, if you own the platform, you got to think about all these people going viral on YouTube. Google is making way more money than Mr. Beast. The Rock got 300 million followers on Instagram. I'm sure Facebook appreciates that. I'm sure they appreciate him bringing all these people over to their platform, right? Jasmine.
No, on the same vein of owning your own platform, You couple sessions back, maybe a couple months back, you spoke about the opportunity for us to launch our own podcast. And all we have to do is to, advertise Speaker Hub. Is that still in the works, or is there something that?
Yep, it's very much in the works, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So the Speaker Hub Podcast Network is definitely in the works. We just got so many other initiatives until we get this speaker page thing figured out. That's number one. Getting the speaker page in the speaker store going is number one priority. We should have a small release in the next week or so. But yeah, that's number one priority is that right now. But hold on to that thought, Jasmine, about the podcast. We'll come back to that in a moment. But yeah, that's Jadika.
What you spoke about yesterday that I found to be really helpful were your marketing tips in terms of what you spoke about. And the one that you talked about to get using testimonies. You use that example of asking for a testimony for a person moving up to the next level. I thought that was really a good market. And then you're talking about how to move with spending $0 on advertising based on your platform and who you are personally as a client, which goes back to what you shared with us about we are the brand, and that's who people connect with. And as you spoke about the teaching of the one thing, focusing that as a magic moment for the clients you're representing. I thought that was really very, very profound because we never think about what that one thing is that we can use to market in terms of what we do. And so I started really giving a lot of thought to that. It's like, yes, I have a broad program, but what is that one specific thing I need to pull out of what I'm doing? So that was a helpful tip. And let me see, the one that I like where you talking about how to design what your clients already want, where you use the example of teeth whitening and all the support products that go along with that. So you've given us some valuable resources that are workable tools. And I like that, which was a compliment to what you were sharing as we develop our own platform.
Oh, 100%. Thank you so much. I'm glad I could help. I want to share something with you along the same vein of what you were just talking about. And this is just a simplified version, but I think it makes the point. Right. And let me pull up the other thing here. All right, and let's see. All right. All right. So this is how most people present their products and services. So you heard me say multivitamins versus painkillers, right? So if I go to Jadika and I say, Jadika, I got a headache. And she says, oh, you just need to take these vitamins. So I take the vitamin and my headache goes away. Which one caused my headache to go away? Go ahead, Jadika, we can't hear you.
You don't know. I mean, it's very broad. You don't know.
Yep. So when you're talking to your client and they say, man, I'm having a hard time getting my message out there. And you say, well, you need to build a landing page, and then you need to do this, and then you need to do this, and then you got to go to, everybody's talking to a consultant that you need a landing page, you got to run Facebook ads, you got to create a lead magnet, you got to do this, you got to do that. They talking about all these daggone vitamins. They giving you a whole cocktail of vitamins because they don't know which one works.
Oh, I think he's frozen. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Ron, they've been having internet problems, so he's been doing the internet off his phone. So
Yeah,
that's that could be one of the reasons.
it could be. But I think we know where he's going with this. With all of those different ingredients, it's impossible to determine which one actually relieve the pain.
And the funny thing is, with headaches, most headaches are caused by dehydration. So while you taking all the vitamins, the thing that could have stopped the headache was the water that you drank to put the pill of vitamin down. So
That is so spot on.
yeah,
Jack, you know a little bit about that. Okay.
I think that
You wake up in the morning with a headache, the first thing you should reach for is your water.
water.
Not coffee?
Yeah.
Oh, not coffee.
No,
No,
man.
coffee,
Coffee.
90 minutes. 90 minutes before you drink coffee. Trust me.
Yeah, I love my coffee. I'm gonna take that advice.
So, but let me get back. My internet died. So let me get back to what I was talking about. Minimum effective dose. Does that make sense? But a lot of times we got all these other things. So this is what we call the vitamin effect. You don't know what's working, so you just doing a bunch of stuff, or you don't really know the problem you solve, so you offer them everything, right? So by doing consultative selling and consulting with the person, you can say all you need is vitamin C, or all you need is vitamin E, or if you're tired, you may need vitamin B12 or whatever, right? So based on the diagnosis, you provide the one thing. Now, there's one thing that I think most people in their business that they're the best at. So you should just focus on that one thing you can kill at, right? And that's like Advil, active ingredients, ibuprofen, 200 milligrams. Everything else in this product is filler. Everything else, ain't no vitamin K, vitamin D, it's ibuprofen with a bunch of, I don't know, some type of dust that they make to put
Fillers.
into it.
They're all fillers.
Yeah, whatever the fillers, right? You know?
Even with vitamins, never buy multivitamin, with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, because most of it is fillers.
Yeah.
Buy a vitamin that you need. Vitamin
But
D, that's what it is.
But a lot of times, when we keep it in the context of our offer, a lot of times we're offering everything. So that's the point I was making, Jadika, with that. Like, hey, find the one thing. If they just did this, would they be better off? Is there anybody on this call that believes that if you sent more pictures, you would be worse off? No, nobody, nobody would deny that, right? Everybody says, no, if I sent more, I would get more bookings, right? That's just because that's the one thing we know. Like, does anybody believe that if is there anything that you would trade pitching for? A speaker reel, um, a speaker one sheet, a better website. If you said you could never pitch again, but all you could do was use your speaker reel, use your Instagram, but you can only get people to come in. How many people would take that deal? I wouldn't. Because I just gave up my ability to go out and be proactive. Right. So when you understand whatever that is from your business standpoint, that's the effective thing. And you teach that. Does that make sense? So a lot of our marketing here is because I haven't been very successful running Facebook ads. Like, I haven't gotten it to work to the point where I'm like, yeah, I could reliably do this. And then every time you figure it out, Facebook changes the rules and they change the platform or they raise the price. And a bunch of copycats come in and it's like, oh, yeah. And you're like, oh, man, this is a waste of time. I'm better off just talking to people on my own. Right. So you can do that through podcasting. That's why I like podcast guesting, because I can get on a podcast and talk to anybody, talk to 15 to 20 people at a time. And if I'm not getting enough results, I could do 5 podcasts a day. There's nothing stopping you all from doing 5 podcasts a day. Absolutely nothing. Right? So, I mean, the one thing I've learned is that and I know this as a fact because of what we did this year, you ain't never got to speak again in reality. We just do speaking for ego, right? You can go on podcast and make a hell of a living. I'm proof of it. You think I'm flying up to the States for $2,000? Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. I'm just not. It ain't worth the 14 hours of being away from my kids when I can make the same money by doing a webinar or a podcast right in my house. I can create my own platform. Now, let me show you all something that really quick. We got 10 minutes. So if we go into pro.speakerhub.com. So I know a lot of y'all gonna say, well, I don't have a large email list and I don't know which ones to. Okay, so that means you may not want to start a podcast because you have no one to market it to. Does that make sense? But you need to build an audience to launch the podcast to. Got it? So I'm going to show you here. So you can come into podcast, and what you can do is you can come in and you can say, I want podcast on public speaking. Right. So I see all these podcasts on public speaking. Does that make sense? And then I can come down here to disruptors. When was the last time they published the episode? July 20th. So that was yesterday. The Business English Podcast. Let's see what's Speaking with Confidence. Let's try this one. All right. So these people have been publishing pretty recently. The Communication Queen, NLP Performance. All right. I was trying to find an old one, like a podcast that is out of function.
Do you have to change the filters?
Yeah, but I want, there's no way to see which ones that haven't published since then. I can see the ones, you see what I mean? I can see published after and before, but I don't want the ones who've published up until now, But let me just go back. I'll just do it this way. Let me take these out. And let's just say I wanted to look at some of the, so there's 240, right? Let's say those who published, it hasn't published in 5 years, right? All right, so there's 8 and public speaking. All right, so let's see. Oh, there wasn't a bunch of public speaking podcasts 5 years ago. How wild is that? That's interesting. Conquer Your Fear, The Rain Child, right? So when was the last time they published? Y'all see that?
Mm-hmm.
2019. This one with Raina Richardson. She ain't published since then. Public Speaking Playground. Ain't published since 2020. Right? He got started, but then he quit. Borrowed books from these, they ain't published in a long time. You see that? So what could I do? I can hit them up and say, hey, this one, they ain't published nothing in a long time. I could reach out to one of these guys and say, hey, Rain Child, I see you have your public speaking podcast. I was wondering if you were continuing, if you would continue to publish someday, or if you're interested in selling it. Right? And you know what the price of something like this is? Free.
Yeah.
You know why? Because if it's still on here right now, what you see right there, he's still paying $20 a month because he don't want to cancel it. Because when you turn off your podcast hosting service, it takes your podcast out of the system. So if this podcast is still in the system, they're still paying $20 to $25 a month for the hosting. So you're actually saving them money by buying the podcast. Does that make sense? So you don't have to start from scratch. Right?
How often is a successful podcast?
How often is what?
How often do you have to do the podcast? Is it weekly, daily?
It's whenever you
monthly?
want. It's your show. We choose to do a daily show. this would be considered a podcast, right? You can do it whenever you want. You can publish as much as you want, once a day, 5 times a day, once a month. Some people, you know, it's up to you. You pick it's your television show, or your radio show. You pick how you want it to go. Does that make sense, Greg?
Yeah, it does. I mean, and consistency is the key, I'm assuming.
Yeah, consistency is the key, definitely. Right. But again, this one, they put out 130 some episodes. Right? The Dynamic Communicators, 130 episodes. They were doing like seasons. You'll see they went November, then March, and then they stopped in 2021. You think they got listeners? Yeah. If they put out 100 and some episodes, somebody was paying attention to them. This is one that I could reach out to Ken Davis and probably be able to get. Claim the Stage, a podcast about public speaking. Let's see, Angela Lucier. She did 215 episodes, hasn't said anything since. I probably could reach out to Angela and buy that podcast and put it on the Speaker Hub network and let Ange host it. And all we would do is do a transition interview. Angela Lucier would introduce Angela Lewis as the new host of Claim the Stage. Let me give you a great example. All of us got podcasts in our phone that we subscribe to that ain't published in a long time. We ain't going unsubscribe. So they're still subscribed in the app. So they're going to get the new, hey, it's a new notification, such and such is publishing again. All right, Freedom.
So once you purchase the podcast, the whole show, including all the interviews, become yours, correct?
Everything. And usually you get it for $3.99.
Yes.
One of
And
my
then-
buddies, he did 70 of them last year. He bought 70 podcasts last year.
So is there something like that for conferences? Because I'm seeing some people started conferences and they're not using them the
Yeah, I
same way
mean-
like podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to, that's a whole nother economic thing. Now we got to get into the balance sheet and the economics of because that's more of a business, but a podcast is just an asset. Does that make sense? It's like me selling my AirPods. There's no profit and loss statement I need to learn how to read in order to sell these AirPods. But if you're buying a conference and it's defunct, the conference probably ain't worth much. It's the email list.
Mhm.
Does that make sense, Frida?
Yeah.
So, because if they don't have another conference scheduled, and it probably ain't worth much. So, but you can buy the email list of customers usually.
Mhm.
Got it?
But what I'm loving about what you're saying about the podcast is because then I come with the whole audience.
Yeah. But let me show you something. Let me show you something. Let me show you something. All right. So, leadership consultant business for sale. Consulting businesses for sale. Here's 183 of them. See if we can get my internet to work right. Let's see. Management consulting business on Deal Stream. Let's see. Let's see what comes up. DISC, leader and manager. You know what DISC is?
I do.
Action coach,
Mhm.
family law firm, HR consulting, business advisory and IT consulting down in Texas, right? But my internet's slow, so you got to bear with me on this.
Okay.
Right? We're established advisors, and our most successful tool is our DISC 10 applications. Develop 30 years hands-on research. we're seeking new affiliate partners. Nope, you don't want to do that. That's trash. You don't want to be nobody's affiliate.
Yeah.
Education
Right.
consultant. If Darren was on here, we would look at this, right? Because it's providing what he does. He's in education, works in the schools. Make sense?
Mhm.
So something like this, we can see, is doing $2 million in revenue and $147,000 in profit. The price is a bit high, but it's doable. That's just the starting negotiating price. Probably buy this business for $350,000. All right. The monthly payment on that $350,000 would be about $8,000 a month over 5 years. Right. Make sense? So now you got a business, and then now you're just putting your consultancy in it, and you're building on top of something, right? So David Price told me something a while ago, and he said, Ron, every business goes in 20-year cycles. You got 5 years going up to try to start it and get it going. You got 10 years of growth, and then you're going to have about 5 years of trying to sell it if you're really good, right? Most of us keep redoing them first 5 years.
Mm.
We just keep repeating the first 5 years. We've been, as we used to say in the financial advisory business, someone says, oh man, I got 10 years of experience. And you're like, no, you got 1 year of experience repeated 10 times. Right. So at some point, as speakers or whatever, you're going to have to make a decision that do you want to keep trying to go the slow route, or do you want to go faster? Right. So I just look at, y'all still there? Okay. I thought my internet froze. I look at it from that perspective, that from a business perspective, we got to figure out how to go faster. I'm 47, which means that if I go through that 20-year cycle, and that's if I get this business right, and I'm in that 20-year cycle, I'm going to be 67. I can't start over. You see what I mean? No, I got to skip. I got to skip some steps. That person already got it to 2 million. I'm going to skip there. And they probably paying themselves a salary on top of that 147. So I'm going into it with the job, with the business. Now all I got to do is grow it. Well, I don't want to grow that business. Well, don't grow that business. How you going to grow your business? The same thing. You got to do it, whether you're inside of a bigger business or in a smaller one. You got to grow. Does that make sense? You got to market Frida, or you got to market the business that Frida bought. Most of the time when we're by ourselves, we don't have an extra $147,000 to devote to marketing ourselves. But over there, we got an extra 147 to play with to grow that business. Is this making sense?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Janika.
Yes, Ron, can you go over again what you said about how to ask, the process you said of asking that person about their podcast lists and all of that?
Yeah. You say, hey, I see you got a podcast.
Okay.
You interested in selling it? That's it. Ain't nothing else.
Okay. All right.
Ain't no magic words. Either they is or they ain't. Right? Either they is or they ain't.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's literally that simple, right?
And so with that, like you said, again, you get the key really is getting their email list, really, in terms of, because now that broadens your base along with the podcast that they produce.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So I want to share something with you. Hey guys, I'll see y'all later. Everybody else stay here, but bye-bye YouTube. See y'all later. Stop this recording.